Hi, this is Connie with ClickyChickCreates.com, and I'm going to be sharing with you today a tutorial on how to create a bokeh background. I'm so excited to show this to you. Truth be told, I actually already created the video, but the camera was shaking the whole video, so I'm recreating this. But I'm going to show you the layout that we're emulating. So basically, we're making this background all over again. So I will be sharing with you how to create this look. It's kind of a take on bokeh in photography, and I just love the way that it came out for this fun page about my baby being in the spotlight in the talent show last year. So on to creating the background. I'm going to be using several different distress colors, distress inks. I have a huge variety of colors from them, from this Tim Holtz line, and I absolutely love it because I'm able to use it in so many different fashions. This color specifically is picked raspberry, and to get started, I'm going to use one of the foam applicators, and I'm just going to get some ink on there, and I'm just going to randomly go about putting some spots here and there. I'm not going to worry about where exactly. I am going to kind of follow the principle or the idea of triangles and at least spread out the ink in all kinds of different spots. I'm actually going to push my inks up a little bit so I can move my paper up and down a bit more and hopefully get it in frame. So I'm just going to add spots here and there. And like I was saying, just trying to make sure to get it kind of distributed everywhere, not just in one spot. All right, so that's good for the pink, for the picked raspberry. Next I'm going to use peacock feathers, another one of my favorites. So same idea, just going to pick up some of the ink and start blending it around in different spots. I'm hoping we're not getting camera shake this round as like on my last video, because I'd hate to make you all sick. I was watching it, editing it, and thought, oh my goodness, if this is making me dizzy and it's just a little part of it, I didn't think you would like that or appreciate it. It was a little bit obnoxious. All right. So that's good. I'm not going to worry about making it perfect. Here, like you can kind of see a little bit of the square pad shape. I'm not really going to worry about it because it's going to end up all blending and some of it's going to get picked up anyway. All right, next color is Squeezed Lemonade. And where some of these colors kind of intersect, you might get another nice blend of colors. I just think that's kind of a little bonus in this technique. I did pick up, like I mentioned, I am a huge fan of the distress inks. So I did pick up the Abandoned Coral and Mermaid Lagoon, two of the new colors this year, and I really am loving them. So, but any colors in the same color family would work. Honestly, I haven't tried this technique using any other ink pads, so I don't know how well this would work using some of the different manufacturers' ink pads out there. So this Abandoned Coral has a warmth to it, kind of a pink undertone to the orange color, and it's really pretty. Peachy, corally color. Super gorgeous. And then the last color, again, is Mermaid Lagoon. So I'm going to come in and fill in those spots that I haven't filled in yet. And obviously, where the different colors blend, you'll make some other variations in your color palette. Did I already say that like 10 times? I feel like I have. All right, I'm just going to go around and see where I have some spots missing and what colors I want to fill in. And I shouldn't really be too concerned with the center, depending on how you're going to lay out your page, you'd want to take note. On something like this, because I have such large photos, I really don't need to be quite as diligent filling in every single little nook and cranny. But so depending on if you're doing a scrapbook page, if you're making a card, if you're making a tag, depending on what you're making, you might want to navigate around that, whether it's a title or a sentiment, whatever it might be. Like I said, I'm using a lot of real estate with these photos, so I didn't need to really be concerned with all of the sections. But for this purpose of this tutorial, I will. So with distress inks, they do react with water. It takes them a little bit longer to set, to dry. So I'm actually going to use the heat tool so I can move along with this. Okay, that should do it. Next, I'm going to grab some punches. I'm going to grab 3 different circle-sized punches. I specifically have the Fiskars, and I love these, but really any brand, if you have a circle cutting system, even if you wanted to cut something out with scissors, that would totally work. You just want a few different sizes. I have stamps that I could use that are actually created for the bokeh effect, but I wanted to try and do something with tools that most of us would have in our stash. So I think a circle cutter is pretty basic, and like I said, even if you don't, they're pretty easy to cut. You could take different size lids, let's say a lid from a bottle of medicine, and trace that and cut that out. You could take a lid, you know, a Tupperware lid, which is going to be a little bit bigger. You could do a tiny lid, or even a circle from a washi tape, and trace that out and cut it. So you have different things around the house that you would easily be able to incorporate and find some circles. So like here's another circle shape from a jar of glitter. So, and those are just 2 quick things I grabbed from the top of my desk. I'll keep grabbing. Actually, here's another lid from a jar of binder clips. So lots of different shapes and sizes to use. So I'm just going to grab a quick piece of scrap paper, and I'm going to cut out, actually the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut that in half. And I'm going to cut a nice hole from that one. And the reason I cut that in half is I'm actually going to use, how am I going to do this? Let me think. I'm actually going to fold, I'm going to redo this actually. I'm going to fold this in half. And I'm going to go through and cut that should be about halfway through. So I'm doing this, it doesn't have to be perfect on the second round. I wanted to just be able to create a little bit of a bigger border around my sheet. Actually, that's almost spot on. I think I will just use, no, it's a little bit wonky. So I'm going to leave that, and then I'm going to do the same thing over here. I'm going to create the next size on this sheet. You see how it's really close to the edge? It's going to be a bit hard when I'm inking to not go off the edge. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to, using my punch, I'm going to use this hole, but I'm just going to add this other piece around it just to create that border so I don't go off the edge. And I'm going to use my small punch right over here and do the same thing. All right, so I'm going to start, I'm actually going to use some pigment ink. And I'm going to go with white frost. I would actually love to use, I just got a shipment today. I would actually love to use the Dylusions pigment paint, or I'm sorry, white linen paint, but I know that most people aren't going to have this in their stash, so as tempted as I am to use this, I will hold off and actually use pigment ink, which most of us will have in our stash. This one's Color Boxes. It's Frost White. I've heard people absolutely love Unicorn, I think is, oh, who's that from? Hero Arts, maybe? But I've heard that's a fabulous white. So any white pigment ink will work beautifully. So I'm going to really try and get lots of ink onto my foam here. Oh, and I did switch. So earlier I was using the big rectangle shape. Now I'm using the little circle shape. And part of it is you could actually go through and just use this all around, doing circles everywhere. But like I said, I do want a few different sizes. So I can't just use this one exclusively. It's just not the look I'm going for. You could easily do that. I'll just keep kind of adding some circles here and there. So the one tricky part about this is you really have to get it super inked up in order to really show, because this will dry and it'll lighten a little bit. So you want to make sure you're applying liberally. So that's part of the reason that using this will help keep your circular shapes. Right, I'm going to go in with some big ones, and I personally want them to overlap a bit. And I'm just going to go in and apply lots and lots of ink. And it's going to be pretty wet, so try not to touch the other spots that you've added with your fingertips or to smudge it. That way you can just take some extra care on it. All right, so that one was fine. Might actually go ahead and switch to this other piece. And you're just going to go all the way around, adding more and more ink. So I will fast forward this part. And you'll notice when I'm doing this that I'm not only applying pressure, but I'm twisting and kind of pushing in towards the center of the circle. That's going to help give you some really defined edges. And the other thing too is I try to go over areas that have overlapping colors for several reasons. A, it's going to help with blending those colors together, and B, it just kind of, again, ties it all in nicely. Gives that really cool effect on that overlap. All right, I'm good with that. So next thing I would suggest is just leaving it to dry, and you might want to end up coming back in and hitting it with some more of the white to just make it a bit more pungent. And the other thing I wanted to try, but I didn't, but you'll ride along with me. I wanted to try the same technique because the distress inks react to water. This will make your paper kind of warped, but personally I'm okay with that. But what I wanted to do is try this same technique, but lifting color instead of adding the white to just come in and lift. So I'm using a wipey, and I'm just going to kind of sop some of that up to soften it. I'm just curious to see how that will work. So I don't want to rub too much because I don't want it to pill. Yep, and it's already pilling right there. So it does kind of that bokeh effect too, but honestly I do like the white circles definitely better. So I will leave it at that. I will not try another spot. Yeah, bad idea. So this is how it'll end up looking. Like I said, if you end up coming in and realizing a couple hours later that you want a little more color, you can just go in and place your circles over those same spots again. And the other thing you can do is take another sheet of paper, just a blank white piece of paper, and add those same colors so that you can punch out circles to use as bokeh on your sheet. I'll show you my sample. So I basically just took blank piece of white cardstock and added those same ink colors just in random splotches everywhere. Just took that ink and applied it in lots of different spots. And then did the same thing obviously with a few of the other colors. Nothing gorgeous, nothing refined. Just some splotches here and there. And then took my punch and popped out a few different circles to use. So all the different sizes that you used on your page. Oops. There we go. Paper's flying everywhere. So anyway, did that with all the same colors and just kind of popped them different spots on my layout just to give a little bit more of that bokeh effect. All right, so there you go. That's how you can create this type of a background for your page, highlighting and spotlighting someone in your family that's the natural performer. And again, this can be used, so obviously since I created two, I doubt I will do a double layout for this. I'll end up using this, I'll cut this into pieces and probably use it on some cards or other layouts. But yeah, most likely I'll end up using this on some cards. So I hope you enjoyed the tutorial. If you did, please give me a thumbs up and be sure to hit the subscribe button so you don't miss out on any future videos. All right, thanks so much. Bye-bye. Have a great day.